Alrighty, hey everyone, what's going on? So, new Path of Exile 2 League launched last Friday, titled The Last of the Druids. Since then, I've been chugging away, playing every single day. This game somehow manages to always get me hooked. Over this past week, I've certainly sacrificed some sleep in order to get my grind on, just kind of how it is. In the process, though, I have managed to get to see most of the new content features and things that were added with the update, and that's what we're going to be covering here today. And thanks to Path of Exile 2 for sponsoring this video and just giving me another excuse to talk about what is easily my favorite ARPG on the market. I still think it's my favorite ARPG of all time. It's definitely the one I put the most time into. I played D2 as a kid, but I was not nearly. It was just something I enjoyed and thought it was cool, but I wasn't obsessed with it like I have been with this game. I genuinely love this game. It's fantastic. Again, we're closing in now on 500 hours. Kind of speaks for itself. We do have links below in the description if you would like to check it out and haven't yet done so already. Alrighty, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the new league and everything that's been going on. So yes, once again, I have been playing a lot, maybe too much for what could be reasonably considered healthy, but hey, I'm an adult. I can do what I want. Began last Friday leveling up, starting with the new class, because of course everyone wants to check out the new stuff, right? This of course is the druid. Lots of fun abilities and playstyles to try. There's a few standouts early on. Now I myself went with the spellcaster druid, who kind of focuses primarily on summoning up vines and all sorts of bramble, and then calling down thunderstorms, which damage but also enhance those vines, making them stronger. It's pretty cool. All right, so our Lightning Storm and Tangle combo is ready to go. But we're going with watering our plants, which gives them a huge boost. So we play down our plants, and then we give them some water, a little bit of sunshine, and they basically trigger off of each other. And then I can throw a little more stuff out or just cast my basic attack or whatever. But you can see they grow bigger when they're in the thunderstorm compared to the normal version. See the normal versions over here, and then the thunderstorm versions over here. They get a little extra boost. Beyond that, there's several other builds, mostly themed around the 3 shape-shifting forms for the druid. Here's a few of them that I thought were pretty neat. We've got to the cataclysmic bear. Zazarian put out a video showcasing this. This thing looks awesome.
I can do that. And now I walk in Calamity on, and I'm using Rampage. But even if I don't use Rampage, even if all I do is like run around, you can see that the meteors are pretty sick single target.
The Ice Wolf build has also been fairly popular and seems to do a rather substantial amount of damage. Looks great, honestly, and I love all kind of the lunar theming as well. And then lastly, there's the Wyvern. This has seemed less impressive, at least in these early stages. Maybe that changes later on, but still pretty cool looking nevertheless. Here's Darth Microtransaction showcasing his.
You want to see what my gameplay experience is like real quick? Here I go.
And still, what's the matter? Frozen stiff? See somebody?
That is so dope.
So yeah, we're still kind of trying to get a feel for how strong or not this class is going to be when it comes to, the late game mapping. I will say though, the Oracle Ascendancy at the very least seems to have some huge potential, especially with that 100% guaranteed critical strike on every hit node. Certainly a lot of possibility there. But either way, definitely some fun new play styles to check out. The shape-shifting stuff is cool. I guess no matter where this ends up settling in terms of clear speed and or bossing. So after leveling the druid for a while, I ended up swapping over to make myself another witch. I know. This is just my favorite class in the game and has been since the launch of early access. I really enjoy it. In particular, I'm going for EDC this league or Essence Drain Contagion, which are the 2 primary spells in your kit basically. Very satisfying playstyle. I just really enjoy it. Can you explain what your build is doing, how it's working? Okay, so I'm Essence Drain Contagion. So the basic idea is I have a very strong dot called Essence Drain, and that I have Contagion, which what it'll do is it does a little bit of damage, but the big thing that it does is when the creature dies that has Contagion on it, it spreads any other dot that they have to any nearby targets. And the more dots you have, the stronger it is. And also, every time the jump happens, the dots get stronger. So you put Contagion on an enemy. You put up a couple. I've got a few options. There's a few dots that I have, but you put a bunch of dots on them. They die. That spreads, gets stronger. Those die. It spreads, gets stronger, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger every time it spreads. And then I also have Dark Effigy, which anyone that has a dot on them, this will fire. The more dots that they have on them, the more projectiles it fires at them. If they've got 1 dot, it'll fire a couple of projectiles. If you have 2, it'll fire more, 3 more. And so all of those things combined make for some like great area clear, where you are just like spreading disease that gets perpetually stronger, that gets more projectiles fired at it from the totem. It's a pretty cool build. So yeah, over the past few days, this is what I've been primarily playing and leveling up, you know, going through kind of the typical paces of a brand new league. Started going through the campaign, doing the 4 acts and finishing the 3 interludes, in the process picking up all of those passive stat buffs and extra skill points. I've been progressing through mapping as well. I'm now pretty easily clearing tier 15 and 16 maps. I'm like at level 90 or so as of my last play session. Finished up all of the ascendancy trials. I've picked the Lich Witch, which is just great. You know, you got massive damage mitigation, an unmoving health bar, and that extra jewel slot with double stat value, which is really, really nice. So here's how it works. I have several nodes that make it so usually you have your energy shield, which goes down first, and then when it gets depleted, it starts taking from your life. But I have a bunch of nodes that say a percentage of any damage taken bypasses energy shield and instead goes straight to your health. So the damage, so if I take 100 damage, it gets reduced by 10%. If I take 100 damage, 10 of it goes to my health instead of depleting my energy shield. And I've got several of those that stack up to higher percentages. I think I'm somewhere around 30-ish% of any damage taken bypasses energy shield and goes straight to health. However, with this node that says your life cannot change while you have energy shield, that bypassing doesn't actually cause me to lose my health. So it just reduces the damage that I take that gets applied to my energy shield. So it's just literally just a flat, like, again, whatever percentage I have, it's like 30-ish. It's like a flat 30% damage reduction, just straight up. There's also an extra synergy you can do with this where your life cannot change while you have energy shield. There's a bunch of effects and abilities and gear that will give you huge boosts if you have low life. So you can have skills that drain your life when you cast them, get yourself purposefully to a low life threshold, and then your life stays at that low life threshold because your life cannot change when you have energy shield. And then you constantly just have that huge buff. And then also just started making my way towards pinnacle content, moving through the Atlas map and all of that. Although I'm liable to just make another class or maybe go back to the druid when I get to mapping and get in kind of a rhythm, start moving on to other things. But in the process of doing all this, I have gotten to see all of the new content and quality of life changes that came with the patch. So let's talk about those. Starting off with the new league mechanic. So this league is the Fate of the Vaal, and it's kind of was described the mechanic as sort of like a build your own dungeon, similar to Incursion from original Path of Exile. Here's how this works. So while you are playing and making your way through the game, every zone that you go to will include 1 Vaal beacon hidden somewhere within it. You find the beacon, you kill all of the nearby enemies, which then activates the beacon. You then do this 6 times in total, clearing 6 different beacons on 6 different maps or zones, or you can actually just reset and rerun the same zone over and over again and do the beacon 6 times. However you do it, you clear a beacon 6 times. This then grants you access to the Vaal Temple, which can be loaded into from a portal that appears, or you can actually do it from your hideout as well. If you're there, click on the hideout and it's going to be one of the options on the right hand side. Once you are inside the temple, you are then presented with this tablet in which you effectively build like the layout of your dungeon run. You're going to be given a few different options for different rooms and hallway configurations that you can place wherever you want. Now some of these will have synergies where they enhance adjacent rooms, and there's a lot of kind of trying to get the right enhancements next to the right rooms to buff them up to their highest tiers, and those higher tiers increase the difficulty of the enemies inside as well as increase the rewards that you're going to get. Now the ultimate goal is to make your way and make a path to the architect, which will be like located somewhere near the top or the back side of the dungeon. You go there, you get to the architect, you kill the architect. This will then open up and allow you to get access to the final boss of the temple at Ziri, and that's basically your main goal, and rinse and repeat, you keep going through. So I would say the mechanic is like interesting in that it's a new thing to engage with, and it's been just adding to the ever-growing list of different systems and types of content within this game. But it has been met with a fair bit of criticism for sure. Namely, it seems that come Endgame, this mechanic doesn't seem like it's really worth the hassle, at least if your concern is maximizing currency per hour or loot drops per hour or anything else really that you might want to farm. Feels like every patch PoE2 gets significantly better. Well, it's one of those things where the base game itself is already phenomenal, and around every patch, they add more to it and they streamline it more. You know, there are misses here and there. People have not been in love with the new league mechanic. I think it's fine. It's just not like a crazy endgame grind, but it's just another layer to the game, right? And if it's in the base game, the really nice thing about this league mechanic was leveling the campaign, basically getting free Regal and Exalts to buff up your gear while you were leveling. That was really nice. Now come the end game, its current structure, people aren't going to be farming it really hard because the rewards don't seem worth the investment and everything, the time investment. Those are people who are thinking about maximizing divs per hour or something. And there's a large part of the player base that does that. But for like the average gamer, when this game releases and they might check it out, that's not going to matter at all. That doesn't mean they can't improve it more, but I'm just saying I enjoy games like this. I'm taking it somewhat seriously, but not hyper seriously, because then I end up streamlining the fun out of it for myself. Now, I will say I found it incredibly helpful at the start of the league. Those first couple of days as you're going through the campaign and you get into the early parts of mapping, a lot of the rooms that you clear will have crafting benches within them, which basically give you free regals, free exalts, and free gem slot enhancements to just boost up your gear. And while leveling, pretty much all of these things are in pretty short supply, again, at least when you're going through the initial leveling process and through the campaign. So having this bonus was really nice in that early window. Now, however, come end game, it hasn't really seemed useful at all. Now, there have been a few recommendations on how to fix this. I think one great option would be to just have those things drop a Regal, an Exalt, or a Jeweler's Orb in place of having a thing that you can miss if you don't have an item on you to actually make use of it. But then beyond that, as you continue to push further into mapping and endgame stuff, just the rewards for running the temple, for the investment that it takes to engage with the mechanic, haven't seemed worth it to people. So I think just in general, across the board, maybe bumping the currency drops within them and the loot drops might fix that. Now, I will say that historically, GGG has been pretty good at receiving this kind of feedback and making adjustments when they think it's necessary. So we will see if they plan to make any changes to the Vaal temples, given the reception that it's gotten so far. Hey, Force from the future here. So shortly after recording this video and while we were in the process of editing it, like literally a couple hours later, GGG came out with a blog post where they directly address a lot of the complaints that people have been having about the new league mechanic. Essentially across the board, they're just making it way more rewarding. They're making the rooms provide more boosting. They're making it so that you can now pull the crafting materials. I think after Act 3, you'll be able to directly pull Exalts, Vaals, and Alchemy Orbs out of it. They're also allowing the temple to scale harder, so it's going to be more worth it in the end game with more difficult enemies and better loot as a result. They're going to make it easier for you to get certain room combos by having a medallion that lets you re-roll rooms if you don't get ones that you're looking for. And then also they're making it so that you don't lose as much progress after defeating the architect. And then finally, just feedback that it wasn't rewarding enough in general at endgame. And to that, they've said, going forward, after completing a non-boss Fate of the Vaal encounters, a chest will now rise out of the center that drops items. Campaign, this is going to be a magic chest, but end game, it's going to be magic and or rare. And these changes are happening in the next patch, which is actually today, like the second I'm recording this. So it'll be live by the time you watch this video. So yeah, hopefully this addresses many of the complaints that people have had. If not, I'm sure they will continue. I mean, they threw this thing out in less than a week after people have been playing with it and had some issues, and they're already trying to address it. So again, they're on top of this, which is great to see. Now, on the plus side, last league's mechanic, Abyss, which was pretty much universally loved, that has now been rolled into the game as a core mechanic. So while you're playing this league, you're going to occasionally come across last league's mechanics. You're going to see these Abyss rifts in your maps. In fact, there's now even dedicated Abyss tablets that will guarantee that you have an Abyss in every map that you run, along with an Abyss section of the Atlas tree, should you want to specialize in it. And I love it. I have actually been using primarily Abyss tablets along with irradiation ones to bump the levels of enemies within all of the maps. That's been my favorite setup thus far, on top of any bossing enhancements. It's just a really fun mechanic. Like last league's mechanic was phenomenal, and it's really great with all the extra crafting stuff that it gives you through the desecration process and all those various enhancements and things. That it doesn't make it entirely deterministic like essences do, but it puts it in that direction where you have more options and you at least have choices when you get a desecrated item, where you get to pick from 3 lines instead of of getting one random one, so that's really nice. But yeah, Abyss is now a core mechanic in the game. 2 thumbs up there, love it. Oh, and also kind of out of nowhere, right before the league dropped, they just announced a brand new ascendancy for the sorceress class. This is really interesting. It's the disciple of Varashta, and it's essentially a sorceress minion focused build. So you've got multiple djinns that you can command and summon, and they've got each their own unique attacks that come with different boosts as well. There's also a few really interesting nodes, like Varashta's Intuition, where 100% of elemental damage is taken from mana before life, or you've got the 4th teaching, which drastically increases your energy shield recharge rate and reduces its delay by an entire second, which is actually pretty huge. Instruments of Power let you equip a focus while wielding a staff, which is huge. It does reduce the bonuses from the focus, but nevertheless, it's essentially just straight up bonus stats that you get. So yeah, really cool new ascendancy. Definitely something I want to check out. Now, this league also came with several quality of life improvements. I think some of these were also partially formed mid last league, but I want to touch on this stuff. So first up, the tablet and waystone changes. Endgame mapping has got some really nice improvements, and it's just like way less convoluted now. Essentially, now you have your map waystones, and you'll do the normal thing where you'll take a waystone of whatever tier and you bump it up to get additional affixes, making it harder but more rewarding, extra XP, extra loot, extra whatever. And then the tablets themselves will be tied to specific endgame mechanics, whether that's Breach or Expedition or now Abyss, whatever. Now, instead of running a tower and putting a tablet in and having it boost like random map nodes within the tower's vicinity, now the tablets you just put directly into the node. So you put the waystone, you've got a couple of tablet slots at the bottom, you put the tablets with the mechanics that you want, and that map, when you run it, is just going to have that mechanic. So put in a map, I put in a tier 15 thing, I put it up to yellow, get a few affixes, whatever, and then I put the Abyss mechanic and the Irradiation mechanic, or sometimes the Boss mechanic, and those maps always have those mechanics. It's really nice. Now, each tablet will come with 10 consumable charges, but you're constantly getting new tablets, so you can just keep doing whatever league mechanic you like most. It can be on every single one of your maps, on top of the fact that there's now bosses in every single map as well. Great stuff. Love these changes. I just think going through the mapping is way better, way more streamlined, and way less convoluted now. So these were some good improvements. They have also made significant optimizations to CPU performance, which were aimed primarily at improving the speed of key operations while also allowing us to utilize more of our CPU cores, all of which should be resulting in a higher frame rate. This was immediately noticeable. Absolutely massive improvement. I've pretty much gone through this entire league without really noticing any big performance issues. It used to be the case, especially last league, whenever I would come across a rift of the Abyss, my frame rate would most likely struggle, especially if I was on a juiced map with increased number of enemies or whatever. We would get a bunch of frame dips, throwing a bunch of particle effects and having enemies explode all around this Abyss, with more getting summoned in. Add even more if it was a corrupted zone, if you got extra summons after you kill a passive enemy. There was just a bunch of performance issues in the last league, and a lot of that has been ironed out here, so really happy to see it. And they also did some visibility improvements. If you're familiar in the past with Delirium Fog, whenever you would run a Delirium map, the whole thing would kind of get grayscaled, really foggy, have a certain look to it. Well, they drastically turned down that effect, so it no longer looks kind of as crappy as it was, and also kind of ruins the aesthetic of the maps. That was the other thing that I really disliked. So as a recap here, the new league mechanic might not be the best when it comes to the endgame currency and gear farming, and it definitely has room for improvements, but I do think it's a nice new alternative activity to engage in. And once more, it was really helpful in those first couple of days going through the campaign, getting all of those free regals, exalts, and jeweler's orbs. The druid has been a fun addition. I enjoyed my spellcaster vine watering my plants build, and I do want to check out a few more of the shape-shifting stuff. The wolf looks really appealing in particular. The mapping changes have been very welcome and certainly streamlined the experience, which I've enjoyed. And yes, the improved performance is a huge W. And then more so, I just want to say, like, the game is already good and it just keeps getting fleshed out and improved more and more. That does it for our overview of this past week, checking out the new Path of Exile 2 League. Been having loads of fun overall. Expect I'm going to keep playing on and off over the coming weeks, along with some other things. If you'd like to check out the game for yourself once more and you haven't done so already, we do got links below. That helps the channel. Thank you so much. But otherwise, that's all for today. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.